This one is for all of my learners who are drowning in resources. You have publications here, publications there. You have a ton of information and you just need to know how to get it organized and then how to use it. Today, we're going to look at the free open source reference management system called Zotero. So you have a reference as to the course of this video. We're going to get into downloading and installing. Then we'll talk about adding publications into the application. We'll look at using those publications in a document. And then finally, we'll look at how we can use these publications in a group setting. So if you're ready to learn more about this reference management system, Zotero, today we're going to make it simple. The first thing that we're going to do is download and install Zotero onto our computers. Now this is available on a Mac as well as a PC. I have a Mac, so mine is opening to downloading Zotero on a Mac. We're going to click on the download and install button. Off to the right, you're going to see a button that asks to install the connector. We're going to get to that in just 1 second. Press download and then just walk through the steps of downloading the application onto your computer. Next, off to the right of that section, you see a button for downloading the connector. Now it does realize what browser you're using. I'm using Chrome, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of downloading that connector to my browser. The next thing that we want to do is sign up for a free Zotero account. This will allow us to make sure that we have access to our publications outside of the application that's on our desktop. If we just use the application that's on our desktop, we have to use that computer in order to access those publications. But if we log into an account, we can sync everything together so we can access this on a cloud by just logging into the Zotero account. In the top left-hand corner of the screen, I'm going to open up the Zotero preferences, and inside those preferences, there's a sync button. It's going to ask you to sign in using your username and password, and then we'll click sync. Once we have that, everything is now connected and we can work with everything at one time. The next thing that I want to do is just briefly talk through what you're going to see as soon as you open the application. Up in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see what's called your libraries. Your libraries, you can categorize the different types of publications and where you want things to be stored. Within your library, we're going to group things into what's called collections. So we can make sure that we have the publications that we want, the resources that we want, going into the correct groups. This allows us to just make sure that when we're researching a specific topic, all we have to do is go straight to that group and we can see all of the resources from that category. Then, if you have produced any publications, you can keep your publications straight into your Zotero account so you have access to all of your papers right there. Underneath of that, you're going to see any duplicate items. Then you have any unfiled items. We're going to see how we can categorize all of our resources into the appropriate collections. And if there's anything left over, the unfiled items will be there. And then you have your trash. If you are finished with a resource or it's not the type of resource that you thought it was going to be, you can just throw it away in the trash and it'll be right there. Okay, now that we've logged in and we've seen the interface of the system and we kind of understand the structure of it, let's go ahead and add some publications. There's a few ways that we can go through and add some resources into our account. Top of the application, you're going to see a green plus sign. When you hover over that green plus sign, it says new item on it. From there, you can enter a new reference. When you click on the button, you have all of those different options of choosing which type of reference you add. Now you do want to make sure that you choose the correct style for what you're looking for, because obviously it's going to have different blanks. I'm just going to choose a journal article. It's one of the most common resources. When I click on journal article, over to the right-hand side, you're going to see a list of every single piece of information that you can add for this resource. Now again, we're doing the manual entry one. You do not have to enter every single piece of information, only the key components. I'm going to go through and quickly just add some information here so that way we can see it generate the citation. Now, if you're doing it this way, all you're going to get is what you type in. And the reason I say that is because when we look at a few other ways that we can import resources into the application, it's going to give us a lot of information. So what you have right here is just what you've typed into the reference. If you click on the green plus sign one more time, underneath those types of references, you're going to see link to file or store a copy of file. If you have a PDF resource, you can use that resource and upload it straight to your Zotero account. If you do that, it's going to take all of the information from that PDF copy and it's going to store all of that data right there in your account. The second option that you're going to see is store a copy of that file. Now it will keep that file stored. It won't just take the data from it, it'll keep that actual publication stored. Now this is extremely helpful so that way you have access to your resource, but if you're using the free version of the Zotero account, you only have so much space. So if you don't need the PDF for that resource, you might not want to save it because again, it's going to take up a lot of that space. So we're just going to link to a file here. When I click on this button, it asks me to navigate out to the file. Now I just downloaded a file off of PubMed and I named it journal article so that way we could see which file was uploaded to our account. I'm going to click on that article and I'm going to upload it and you're going to see it generate right there in the middle of our dashboard. Even though I named the PDF journal article when I was importing it into my account, the system reads that journal article and it will import all of the information straight from the article. You're going to see the name change from journal article to the title of the actual article. It looks a little different than when we were importing our data manually. You have all of your information and you have an entire abstract there too, so you know exactly what this article is about. In the top right-hand corner of your screen now for this specific article, you're going to see a little PDF mark there. If there is a PDF version available of your article, it'll store that PDF right there so that way you can just click on that link and it'll take you straight to the article. This is so helpful because if you make any notations on the PDF viewer, highlighting information, pointing out key phrases, it's going to save all your notations right there in that one spot so that way you can come back to it and you know exactly where you need to look for key points of this article. Now let's look at another way that we can add more publications into our application. If you go to the button on the right of the new item button, the one that we've been using, you're going to see that it says enter a new item by identifier. If you have the ISBN or the DOI numbers available, you can just put those numbers straight into the text box and it'll pull the information. So you don't have to have anything pre-downloaded. You don't have to manually put anything in. Now, I am training for a marathon, so you're going to see the theme of my documents are all running injuries, preventions, ways that I can help make sure that I don't get injured in my training. So that's what we're going to search for today. We're going to look at prevention for some of these running injuries. I'm going to pull up an article, and on that article, the DOI number is right there in the center. I'm going to take that number, copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in Zotero. As soon as I paste it and press enter, you're going to see that article right there, prevention of running injuries. Off to the right-hand side, you'll see all of your reference information. The final way that you can add resources into your account is by using that connector that we downloaded at the very beginning of the tutorial. That connector is extremely easy to use. Now this connector is helpful because it doesn't have to be a specific type of resource. We can use any resource available, and once we find the one that we want to use, if you press your connector button, that extension, and you click on Zotero, it automatically links it straight to your account. So when we slide over to our account, we see that article right there. Over on the right-hand side, all of your resource information. So just as a quick review, the 4 ways that you can add those resources into your account by manually entering it, by uploading the file, by using the ISBN or DOI number, and then finally by using your extension. When we were uploading our resources to our account, we looked on the right-hand side, that info section, and we saw all of the information regarding that reference. I'm going to go through the rest of those tabs so that way we can see what they do and how to use them. The first tab that you're going to see is the Notes tab. This allows you to just make notes on different references. As soon as you choose a note, you're going to see it puts that note directly into the drop-down of this reference. Now in this note, you can edit things, you can highlight things, you can create links to other resources. All of this is here for you to make sure that you know exactly what this resource is all about. The third tab that you're going to see is the tags. Tags are very important because this allows you to filter through all of your references. Now, we only have a few publications here, but once you start using your account for all of your different projects, you're going to get a pretty big library. And you want to be able to choose appropriate documents for whatever paper you're writing. So the best way to get access to those documents is by tagging them. Now you are going to see the reference that I took straight from the Zotero connector. That document already had tags in it. So you'll see I have ankle injuries tagged, leg injuries, knee injuries, all of the relevant information for that document, they were already tagged. You can put in more tags manually, or again, allow the computer to generate those tags using that connector. Then these tags become useful down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You see all of these random words there. Those are the tags. When you click on those words, it allows you to filter through that information to pull only the references that match those tags that you have selected. You can select one thing, you can select multiple things, and whatever you have selected there, your references are going to pop up according to those tags. And then the last button you see there is just the related tab. If you have publications that are building from each other, they're related to other publications, you can have all of that listed there, so that way you can see how things build. Now that we have all of our resources, let's look at how we can use these resources in some of our documents. Now I just have a random Word document opened here just so we can see how to use these citations in our papers. You're going to see a brand new tab open up, and that tab is going to have Zotero. The first button that you're going to see is Add or Edit Citations, Add or Edit Bibliography. When you're ready to add your citations, you're going to click on your Add Citation button. If this is the first time that you're using Zotero, it's going to ask you what type of citation are you going to use. Footnotes, endnotes, and then how do you want those to be styled? You can choose from all of those different styles listed there, and then if you accidentally choose the wrong one, or if you need one style for one paper and a different style for another, it's very easy to change those in the document preferences. When you click on Add or Edit, a little red box is going to pop up. In that little red box, you can either type one of your citation names, an author, a topic, whatever you type, all of the data related to whatever you type is going to pop up. When you have the citation that you want, go ahead and click it, and it inserts the appropriate notation. I'm just going to go through the process of adding a few more citations just so we can see how things change and update once more references are added in. Then, when you're ready, you'll go down and add your bibliography. I'm just going to create a new page here called Bibliography, and I'll go down to my blank line and choose Add, Edit, Bibliography. Now, because I've already chose the style that I wanted for my citations, it's going to use that same style for my bibliography. I'll click on my Add Bibliography button, and it puts the bibliography right there. Formatted correctly, you don't have to worry about anything. It takes the information straight from your publications and puts it in the correct style. Now, like I said before, if you needed one style for one paper and another style for a different paper, if you go to those document preferences, you can choose, again, which style you want and then which notations you want. If you need to switch it to endnotes, right there, you can switch it by just looking at those document preferences. Now, I went through and I added some citations, and then we generated our bibliography. But I need more. I need to add more information here, but everything was already done. If you need to add more citations into your paper, very easy, go ahead and add everything that you need to add, but then at the very end, don't forget to click that refresh button that you see underneath the document preferences. If you use that refresh button, it'll go ahead to make sure everything is numbered correctly, and then your footnotes, they're listed correctly, depending on which author came first, if the author was mentioned more than one time. If you refresh that, everything will update and you'll have all of that information synced. Now, when you're finished with your paper, it is perfect. The very last thing that you are going to want to do is that Unlink Citations button. Right now, your paper is connected to your library. There's a lot of connections there, a lot of things working together. So if you are going to be turning this paper in online, you want to make sure that all of those connections are gone. You don't want to have anything accidentally break in between your uploading process. So once you're ready, if you click Unlink Citations, all that does is just unlink it from your account. Now, this is very important. You want to make sure that your paper is done before you do this. If your paper is not done and you unlink it, if you start adding more citations to it, everything previously was unlinked. So it's not going to be able to renumber, refresh, none of that. So very important that you make sure that this is your very last step. Double check, triple check, quadruple check. Once you're done, then unlink your citations and your paper's perfect and ready to go. The last thing that we want to look at is using Zotero with groups. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you do have an account and you are logged into your account. In order to use this feature, you have to be logged in. If you go to the top left-hand corner of your application, where we looked at creating new libraries, new collections, you're going to see within the new library button, you have a group feature. When you click on that group feature, it's going to take you to the website, and the first thing that you're going to see is create a new group. From there, you'll choose your group name, and then you'll choose the type of group. Is it private, public, closed membership, open membership? Once you click create group, the first thing it's going to take you to are the library settings. And again, your library is just within your account who has access to that information. So you can go through, choose your appropriate settings. Then the middle button that you see there, those are the member settings. You can see everybody who has access to this group. From here, you can change administration roles, and you can also invite more members to this group. Now, if you are doing a group project, only one person has to create the group, and then that person can invite everybody to that group. And then the last thing that you see there are the group settings, and this just allows you to change the group name if you need to, and then edit those privacy settings. When you're ready, open up your application again, and you're going to see that that group is now synced to your application. You have a brand new library there. Again, my group was called Test Group. So I see that test group, and then within that, I see my collections. Now, I just uploaded that journal article that we did before. I uploaded that same article into my test group. So that way you can see I have my library separate with all of those articles that I used. And then within my test group, the only article that's there is that journal article. That's the article that everyone in my group would have access to. Now, if you're using this group feature, not only do you want to make sure that everybody has access to the publications, but everybody needs to have access to the document you're working on. That's a different video for a different day. Today was about Zotero made simple. I hope this video was a help to you. If it was, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any tutorial requests, let us know in the comments below. But for now, I'm Nikki, and this is Simple Tech Media.